Shepherd University Business Department usually does a study abroad trip every year. This year we went to Italy. And when Dr. DeMare first came to my classes and to talk about it, I heard Italy and I was sold. The food, the wine, the culture, I was ready to go right then and there. The trip itself was awesome. I can't wait to go back. I tell everybody about the trip, once in your life you have to go to Italy, without a doubt. So I decided to make a video about our trip, and I was fortunate enough to have a few people share their thoughts and feelings about the trip as well. I would ask them, their favorite city, about the food, their favorite part of the tour, something they found on their own or maybe outside, and so on. I do apologize in advance because we talk about the Statue of David and I really don't show pictures of it just because they had a security team ready to tackle you if you try to take a picture, so I was like, you know what, I understand they're protective, so I'm not going to bother with it. This is just a glimpse of what we experienced, and I hope you can enjoy the video and get an idea what you can expect from a trip like this.
A big part of it was because it was a trip that was being offered through the business department, and Dr. DeMare came in and sold it to one of the classes that I was in.
I wanted to go to Italy because it was a gastronomical tour, and so I was really excited about the food and really getting to experience authentic Italian food and the wines, of course.
Italy, it just sort of seemed like an exciting place. Kind of had a friend named Lionel kind of pushed me.
My favorite city was Venice because it felt like a really small town. There weren't any cars there, or bicycles, or anything like that. There wasn't any mopeds and Vespas trying to get through. And it was all canals and stuff through the area. And it just felt like a small town.
So different from what you see in America. Having waterways for streets was really cool. And it was really condensed and the alleyways were small, but it was just like completely foreign to me.
It's a little disconnected from everything. There's not a lot of traffic all over the place. Everyone's on foot. It's a lot more inviting. Lots of things to see there. Even the gondola ride was awesome. Getting to actually go through the city by waterway, it was pretty cool.
Here we go, let's go this way.
It's naturally an ashy brown. Sorry.
That was awesome. Going through Bologna and seeing like the huge Lamborghini. And
I love cars. They're a big hobby of mine. And that wasn't on the itinerary. No one really knew about it, so it was awesome to see just hundreds of Lamborghinis all through the city, up and down the streets.
My favorite meal was when we went to the pasta place where we learned how to make pasta and had lunch down there, and it was like this jazz bar vibe. It was very relaxed and very cool, and I think we had 3 courses of pasta that day.
One. Go.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, go.
Et voila! Very good.
To be honest, I was a real fan of Florence, especially like down where the cathedrals and everything were. But even the trip to Florence, like driving and everything, the hills and all the vineyards, seeing them on side to side, it's just beautiful. You don't find that anywhere around here. It's crazy.
my favorite part of the tour was going to the Verrazzano Castle and doing the wine tasting and getting the tour of their whole process of how they do things and their gigantic barrels of wine. That was really cool to see.
I definitely thought the castle was the best. I loved Chianti. It was beautiful wine, and I didn't have a bad glass of wine. I'd heard a lot of people say that before I went, that I've never had a bad glass of wine in Italy. And I went, yeah, sure. But I really didn't have a bad glass of wine. They were all good and
0 points.
and cheap. Yeah. And I do have a greater appreciation for red wine after having gone. I'm a red wine drinker here in the States, but I pretty much stick to 2 different kinds of red wine, and that's it. But there, I tried everything that was put in front of me, and I loved the Chianti. It was so good.
I had no idea how detailed it was. You could see his veins and stuff. Our guide said that you could actually see a hair on his back, but you can't really see it when you go to look at it.
I was inspired completely by David. I couldn't believe how big he was, first of all. I thought he was like man size, 6 foot tall maybe, but he's like 15 feet.
This thing is just huge. It's unreal, and it's a beautiful piece, but it's kind of contrasted with a couple different elements. Like, a lot of people will say the hands look too big or it's not perfect, but in and of itself, the fact that it came from a terrible piece of marble and he created that beautiful statue is just unreal.
I was super stoked about the cooking class because I was one of the teams that won. And I started out as a culinary major, and so part of what I want to do in my career is open up restaurants. So I was really excited.
Cooking class was good. I'm by no means a cook, but the food was awesome. And the fact that we had people there, like the chefs and stuff, helping us out and everything, it was fun. And we got to do it with a group. It wasn't like there was a ton of pressure. It was just everyone got in their own little groups and did their thing, and it was pretty exciting.
It was amazing to just be out there, and like it was this big tented area. We're all underneath, just hanging out and having a good time. My team was, a bunch of people that I've been hanging out with on the trip, so they were funny. We had a blast. We did a couple of things really well, and we did some stuff not so well. But we learned a lot, and I think it was one of my highlights for the trip. Even though I got fired afterwards, they decided that I was bossy in the kitchen. They called me the team leader, and we lost, so I got fired. It was all my fault.
I think that it did surprise me at how many people did speak English. I think we only ran into a handful of people that didn't. And so we weren't really forced to learn the language, which I felt a little bit sad about because I was really kind of excited to try to speak Italian to these people, even though it was probably going to be bad. But I thought that would have been really cool to be able to speak it more if I had had more time to study up on it.
But one thing that I wanted to see since I was little was the Trinity Fountain. So being able to stand in front of that and throw a coin in it and everything, it was just a really cool experience because you see pictures of it and never really understand quite what it's like because a picture's about the size of your hand, and this thing is just a massive work of art. It's just beautiful.
The scariest thing I've ever done was the cab ride in Rome from the bus, because you remember we were late to Rome, and so the only way you were going to get to the Vatican City is if you took a cab. So they drop us at a cab stand, and we get into this cab with a guy who speaks no English. It's me and 2 girls, and this guy drove through town like his life depended on it, and we were dying in the back seat. Yeah, I think it's a great way to travel for the first time, particularly if you're at all nervous or not outgoing, because we wouldn't have planned on a personal vacation half the stuff we did with this group. When we went to a butcher shop in a tiny little town it was the most awesome town, and we watched a pig get butchered on a table. I don't know that I'd have done that outside of a group, but it was a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely, especially Dr. DeMerit does a great job of planning everything out, and he takes the time and care for his students and faculty and everyone who goes to make sure everyone's there together, they're doing everything together, and we're not leaving people behind or whatever, and just making sure that from this time we wake up to the time we go to bed, there's something to do, whether it is free time in Rome or wherever you may go, or having something that's planned out like the Colosseum and the things we did. He makes sure it's all there written out for you and you have the option to do it or not, but it's definitely worth doing.
I want to let people know that I really and truly appreciated the trip. Like it was something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. Not just because I went to Italy and I was walking around, but because we had such a good group.